we're just gonna jump right into this. I'm doing something different, doing a real-time video, and that way you can see a more slowed down version of my step by step because I usually speed them up. I want you to see the layers that I use and the different tools that I use within Procreate, because someone did mention that they got Procreate and it's still a little bit difficult. So hopefully you can see what I do and then maybe implement that in your workflow when you create your illustrations. So I know I said before that I don't like doing two lines because it was confusing. I've clearly lied. I now add two lines. It actually is not confusing. It's very helpful, at least for me. I feel safe in this. It helps me know where to place the eyes and where to place the eyebrows, as well as make my eyes even so they don't look uneven, even though that's easily fixable. So I found a reference. Sorry, I found a reference trying to find my thoughts. This is different because I normally have it sped up. I am going to add an outfit later, but I just wanted to get the pose summered right. I normally just do collarbone up, but we had a little bit more so you can see what she'll be wearing, sort of. So even though I'm trying to still learn anime style, it's hard for me to do that and leave out a nose. And I know a lot of the newer animes, they have like an actual nose, but for some reason I'm still struggling. So I need to actually have like the nostrils and a full mouth. It's just something that my brain needs to do. Hopefully I can get to where I can have it not so much like that, but even if I don't, that's fine. I'm starting to like the style of my style, and I've only implemented little things from anime that I've thrown in, and as you can see, it's always the eyes. I get the eyes, and if that's it, that's all we're gonna do. So what's been helping me as far as making sure my eyes are even, I used flipping the canvas horizontally. That way it goes the other way and you can at least make one side kind of match the other. Depending on the pose and whatnot, I mean, it's not going to be like actually correct, but one eye won't be all the way up at the top and the other one won't be all the way at the down further. So if you can't see here, my arm does move. Nice little tip. When you're drawing, you want to move your whole arm, not just your wrist. It helps. It's weird to do it first, and this is for, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but it's weird at first. But once you can keep doing it, you get used to it. And it helps with making better lines and making your sketches look a little bit better. But mostly it's a lot for your line art. So as I'm finishing up here, I was thinking about what I wanted her to wear. So what I do is run over to Pinterest, my favorite place, and I have a thing for vintage dresses. Someone also mentioned putting one of my original characters or illustrations in something Cinderella-like. So that's just the vibe we're going with. And I decided to pick on this blue one with the white lace frill. I didn't do it exactly, but it's just the design with the bows and kind of just the way the sleeves hang. I think drawing clothes that have shapes like this are easy to recreate. It helps you learn where to place certain folds at when it's bold like this. That's why I love drawing vintage dresses. I also just like the way they look. So I noticed that her head was a little off. So, just take that little squiggly tool, freehand, and cut, copy, paste is what it is. And I just went over it. Easy fix. That's like one of the best tools you can have on Procreate is that tool. You can create rectangles and circles or whatever, but I use the freehand one, and that's usually to take certain parts and move it. That way I don't have to erase the whole thing. Just makes it easier. Work smarter, not harder. So, going off topic just a little bit because it's going to be a time before I actually get to the rendering. So, about Pinterest, I think Pinterest is probably one of the best places to get some references. I know Instagram and Twitter and maybe Tumblr, maybe even Google are also some other places, but Pinterest for me, I can find a little bit more, especially with the aesthetics that I like. Like I said, I do like the vintage dresses. I've never been a period piece gal. That was a recent change in my life of enjoying watching period pieces and, the loving the fanfics. I mean, I am a fanfic girl, but more so things that take place back in the Gilded Age or even the Victorian era, um, things like that. But Pinterest has like everything. When I need portrait photography, so I can get portrait poses or even full body, hands. My biggest struggle is hands, which is probably why I stick to portraits. And excuse me, sorry. It's okay to stick with portraits. You could do so much with portraits. I don't think portraits get enough love. I know a lot of artists who solely do portrait work, and it is amazing. Amazing. As much as I do want to do characters, I don't want to make characters all that full scenes, but I really do like portraits, and I feel like as much as it is a comfort zone, there's so much you can do. So much you can do. You just gotta step out of the comfort zone of it and experiment with the portraits that you have. I also like food illustrations, and I know that's random, but I do, and I want to start drawing more. I took a little break from that, but I'm going to get back to it. So now we're up with line art, our favorite part, the most relaxing part, line art. So I use this brush tool that I got from, I forget her name, it's Lilith. I'll find the link and I'll put it in the description so you can buy it. I think I paid like, I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe $2. I want to say two. It might be more than that, but it's a whole brush set and it's actually a pretty dope brush set. But I stick to a few brushes for the line art and some other details that I use it for. So as you can see, I do it a couple times. Nothing wrong with that. If you gotta adjust the size of it or how thick you want the weight of the line, I do that often. I wonder if anyone else does that because I do it all the time. One thing I learned is that when you're doing line art, to give it some oomph, when you're going over certain parts of the body, when it's rounded, actually make that part thinner. Is that a lie? I could be wrong. Scratch that. Line it how you want. If it looks good to you, as much as we want to create art that looks good to other people, it also has to look good to us too. And I know people who use very thick lines, and I don't like that on my art, but I like it on theirs. It looks good for theirs. But my illustrations, it doesn't work. But if it works for you, you go right on ahead. Ears, I hate ears. If my ears ever look funky, I don't care. They just gonna look funky because ears are between that and hands. I don't think about it. I try not to think about it. So I like to draw a little upside down or triangle thing on the nose because that's where I like to put the lighter part. Sometimes I don't always do it, but I do just like to add it, just a little fun detail. Here we go with the mouth. I'm trying my hardest to get out of same face syndrome. It's very hard. Very hard to do. Not sure how to get there. I know expressions are a good way. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing same face, but I do want to add some kind of emotion sometimes. My illustrations tend to look dead in the eyes. Like me, just dead in the eyes because I'm dead inside. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. But anyways, if your illustrations tend to have the same expression you feel lacks, a great way to fix that is eyebrows. Change the eyebrows a little bit. Make them angry, kind of make them look like they're crying, and that you could do that by making the eyebrows go up. Or I know you can change the shape of the eyes to make the eyes look like they're crying or sad. This one is, she's going to look between, like, what is that over there? Or just whatever model face that models make. So now for the fun part. I know some people, when they render, they like to get their color palettes ready. I never do that because I am an unorganized individual. So we just go with it, go with the flow. But for the most part, I do have some an idea of how I want it to look in my head, but I'm always never sure. I know that makes no sense. For the most part, I'm not sure about colors because I change my mind a lot. And I always wanted to match the mood of the illustration, especially if they have a certain outfit. I wanted to match that. So I'm also big on not really having colors that go together. I do use a lot of pinks and like purples, but sometimes I really don't want to do that all the time. So this time I used blue, but I did use purple. I'm lying. But that's because that's what the dress looked like. The color palette I went with went solely based on the dress. The only slight change, the only color that's outside of that is her skin tone. One thing about rendering is it's really up to you. I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to do it. And I could be wrong in someone else's eyes, but for me it's really what you want and what you like and what you think maybe others might find pleasing. But art is subjective. once you've got the fundamental structure of the piece down, as far as getting those colors in and composition, I mean, it's really up to you, especially when you're drawing things that are not realistic. And I think that's what I personally think is important. If it's not realistic, it's not realistic features, it's not a realistic character, it's not a real person, why does the rendering part have to be real? I mean, skin tone can be whatever you choose. As far as when you do different shading and lighting, you can use other colors. Just think about where the light goes. That's the only thing, where the light and the shading goes. But does the light have to be like an actual light of the sun? No, it could be any color you like. It just has to, when I say makes sense in a way that that part's the light, this part is the shade, and this is where the light is coming from. But if the light is a strange light, that's fine. Or even when you do your composition, even when you're doing hair or even the skin, I've seen artists when they create certain depths, those are different colors. Me, I don't do that because I don't know how. But also, I like making mine a little bit more simpler. I will add certain details to give it a little razzle dazzle, but for the most part, you won't see me do that. That's because that's the style that I choose. When I like to experiment and kind of just do whatever, I will try it, see if I like it. And if I don't like it, we're not doing it again. I want to see for my food illustrations, maybe might be a little bit more fun with those, more loose. But for character illustrations, simple. Hell, I might even be simple for food art. I don't know who I'm kidding. I don't know why I say I'm going to do these grandiose illustrations. And my style's always been simple. The reason why it looks more than what it is because I like to use layers. Layers and layers and layers and just doing different effects to the layers. But this is what my sketch initially looks like with flat color. The layers is what makes it pop. That is my secret. I try to add little things here and there to give it my own spin. But I think that's what I do to make mine stand out to me, is adding the layers. Also notice I draw abnormally large foreheads. I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but I did. A lot of my characters have very big foreheads. That's fine. I just want to point it out before somebody else in the comment mentions it because people tend to do that. Unnecessary criticism. So I'm going to get there before they do. I did not intend to make this look like Ariel, but as I did it, realized very Little Mermaid-esque because I was thinking about it and I'm like, I feel like she wore an outfit like this. I could be totally wrong. It's been 1,000 years since I've watched The Little Mermaid, but I do the red toned hair and the color of the dress. I think I may have subconsciously did that, but I don't care. It looks nice to me. I like the way she looks. So like I said, I like layers, and it's always pink because when you do screen or color dodge or add, it gives it changes things, make it a little bit more saturated the way I like. You don't have to, I just do. And depending on how I'm feeling at the end, I will make the background layer a little darker. That way it offsets it a little bit. So for the dress, as you can see, we did not pick blue. This is the purple color. It doesn't look that way on the screen, but it's kind of purple. And that's how I did the bows. I made the bows a certain color, and then the dress itself I changed. And then what was supposed to be lace, I changed that color as well. I did keep a color palette thought in mind due to the background. But aside from that, I just tweaked it just only a little bit. I want to do more portraits that have a little bit more background to them. but I'm very bad at backgrounds. I never know what to put and to where it looks nice. I see other people do backgrounds and other artists, and it's like, that you're so creative. How'd you do that? And then I go to do it, and I'm like, I'm gonna add a little star here, a little star there, and it's gonna look nice. I'm rambling at this point because this is a very simple portrait. Not much to it, but to do it. But once you have your sketch down, it's really up to you. I can show you tutorials on how to do something, and I hope the beginning was good enough for you to get your feet wet. But as far as everything else goes, you're really going to have to do it. Trial and error. Copy me as much as you like. Copy what you see I do. Apply that to what you do. If something that I've done does not feel right to you, scratch it. Do something else. I can only show you how to draw certain angles and things like that. But once I've given you the basic, it's on you from there. When it comes to composition, that's up to you as an artist. Fundamental structures of the body, I got you. But as far as, the rest of it, creative freedom. I mean, I feel like even drawing, there should be, as you get better, there will be lots of creative freedom. But when you're learning, it's really get the basics down, get positions of the head down, where your eyes go, get some expressions down so you don't have to have dead face syndrome or whatever. Body poses, if you want to do full body and you want to throw some hands in there, learn those. I will maybe do other tutorials with those specifically. And maybe I shouldn't make them so freaking long. But if you like to hear me ramble about me as an artist and what I'm doing, I will gladly do that. But the first half is as simple as I can give it to you and that you can follow. And that's why I've slowed this down also so you can see. I did speed up just a little bit, but it's slow so you can sit and look and follow. Because I know me, when I watch some artists do step by steps, I'm like, what did you just do? Like, what? Where did we go? How did we get from here to here? I've only been able to follow one artist, and that's because she does it slowly. She doesn't jump. I've noticed a few do jump. She does not. And her tutorials are very, very short, straight to the point. I should probably start doing that. But yeah, I'm always up to show and help you do something. And I'll always be here to give you advice on just expressing your creative freedom. And you can copy my art if you like. Don't steal it. But, if you need help as a reference, I am here. If you have questions, I am here. I can sit and talk about this all day, but I don't have all day. So I hope you enjoyed this as much as I actually did enjoy drawing this. Looking at this, it's giving 90s cartoon vibes. Not so much anime, but 90s cartoon. And that's fine because that's also like, I grew up on the Batman series, Justice League. Not Johnny Tsunami. Is it Johnny Tsunami? I think it is. If you know what Johnny Tsunami is, I think that's the right one. I'm going to Google it real quick. But cartoons like Birdman, the old Justice League, Godzilla. That's my era if I'm giving out my age. Not Johnny Tsunami, something else. Oh my God. What is his name? It's going to kill me. Oh my God. I need to know. I'm Googling it as we speak. It's not Johnny Bravo. Oh Lord. We got to do this. We got to find Johnny Quest. Johnny Quest. Looking back, there's a lot of problematic things of that cartoon, If you Google it, you will see. But they did remake it, I think, a couple years later, and still very problematic. I'm so sorry. I grew up in a very, very problematic. I mean, yeah, you'll see. But the style of the art back then for a lot of cartoons, especially more cartoons that were geared towards middle schoolers, a little older, this was kind of it. It's kind of like what it was. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this. And yeah, see you next time.